Hello and welcome to Armadale Castle and Gardens and Museum. Today we're going to look at some of the fine trees of the gardens here at Armadale. It's a garden which is really recognised for its tree cover. Many historic trees, some dating from the 19th century, when there was an avenue of limes which ran up to the castle, and a fine arboretum which we can see today was started. We're very lucky in that the garden is situated away from the prevailing wind and protected by a shout about, with very fine views over the Sound of Slate to Knoydart. One of the most characteristic and significant trees in the gardens are our superb silver firs, of which we have many, Abies alba. They're very statuesque, very large and very noticeable. In fact, they can be seen from the water, from the road approaches from both sides and from the hill behind the gardens. And they form really the skyline, the horizon of the gardens, with these towering majestic trees with jagged tops as they stick their heads over the parapet and get hammered by our winter storms. They're one of the most beautiful of trees, and standing at the base of one and looking up into the crown can fill you with awe at the grandness of these wonderful trees. Here we are in the Victorian Arboretum of the gardens, and there are two notable conifers here amongst many others. One is the noble fir, Abies procera, from North America, and we have a giant here, one of my favourite trees in the garden, and adjacent to it is a young, really, giant redwood, Sequoiadendron giganteum, of which the bark is very pithy-like and soft, and is a protection against fire damage in its native habitat. We find ourselves in the tree sanctuary of Armadale. We're totally enclosed with arboreal vegetation. On one side, a magnificent Cupressus macrocarpa, or the Monterey cypress, which comes from California. Its limbs are laying on the ground and growing into alternative stems, and the moss-covered stems are covered in Polypodium vulgare, one of our native ferns. On the other side is a wonderful evergreen oak with twin competing stems, Quercus ilex, and again this is almost Tolkien-esque in its stature, and these two trees are very precious to us and form the edge of the Victorian Arboretum. Our monkey puzzle trees, we have a number of these in the garden, Araucaria aurucana. They come from Chile in South America. Very notable, very distinct, with the stem but also with the crown and the needles, which are extremely spiky. The monkey puzzle came to the UK via a surgeon and botanist in 1795 called Archibald Menzies, a Scotsman. He was given it as a dessert dish, the nuts themselves, at dinner, and he brought these seeds back on a ship and they were sown, and the first trees were germinated at Kew in London, and now it's widely distributed in gardens throughout the UK. We're now at the front of the castle looking over to Knoydart and over to the mainland over the Sound of Slate. And on the right hand side of the lawn, if you stand with your back to the castle, is one of our largest lime trees, Tilia. We have a number of them, and they were actually originally planted as an avenue up to the castle, a formal avenue. And elsewhere in the garden there's many fine lime trees, but this one really is the most significant we have. And today, as we stand here, we're watching swallows zipping around over the front lawn, catching flies before their trip back to Africa. We're now on the back quarter lawn of the castle, where a tremendous cryptomeria lies on the ground. It's either fallen over or got blown over, and whilst some stems remain upright, many are lying on the ground and forming alternative leaders. It's a very elegant foliage conifer, commonly known as a Japanese cedar, Cryptomeria japonica elegans. As part of the gardens at Armadale, we have a collection of memorial trees, around 450, which are planted by people, usually in memory of someone, which is a wonderful thing to do and gives us an opportunity to nurture trees for those people. Here we have a Nothofagus procera, which is known as a southern beech, and when we talk about southern, we're talking southern hemisphere, unlike our own beech, which is from the northern hemisphere. And this one was planted in 1984 and I think is our largest memorial tree in the garden. And if you look up at the crown, it's now a really significant size. We're now at the north side of the rear quarter lawns, looking at a small tree called Hoheria glabrata, which is an autumn flowering tree with lovely open white flowers. It comes from New Zealand, and this one was planted as a memorial tree in 1990. It's commonly known as a mountain ribbonwood. We hope you've enjoyed the short tour of some of our special trees at Armadale today. But of course hope you can come and look at them in person and enjoy what we have to offer. Thank you very much. Goodbye.